Meta, formerly known as Facebook, they also released a very interesting tool, which is called Segment Anything, right? And you have used it already.
Yes.
Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on this.
So the idea behind Segment Anything is maybe to build something that's a bit like ChatGPT, but for computer vision, right? So for understanding images, and in particular to build a model that can like segment any kind of object in some image. And we talked about this problem already, right? That if these methods are trained for one task, right, like segmenting cells in light microscopy, but also segmenting cars in the real world, right, they will more or less only work for this task and for this kind of data. And the goal that the team from Meta had is to build a model that is more general, right? So that basically you can give it an image and either tell it just to segment all the objects in there, right? Which means basically find all the objects and their shape in there. And this is, of course, a very ambiguous task, because what an object is, especially in the real world, but also in some microscopy data, is very ill-defined before giving sort of any more hints of what you mean by objects, right? It could be that each leaf of grass is an individual object, or that you just want to segment the patch of grass, right? But so they kind of came up with this way to train this model in a way that it solves this general segmentation task fairly well, and that it can also be guided by the user. So basically, as a user, I can just put a point, and the model will segment the object. So give me the outline of the object that matches this point best, right? So this is what this Segment Anything model is. And the way they did it is by building this giant data set where actually all kinds of objects are segmented in. It's mostly still actual images, but also some scientific data. And then they train the model for this. And what we then did, we got really excited by this, because this could be a solution towards this problem that I just described, right? That we have all kinds of microscopy images and we need to retrain every time for it. But if we have a more general model that can solve segmentation in all these microscopy images, we would get much closer to the goal that we actually have. Right? And that's why we started working with this Segment Anything model and basically improved it for microscopy data. So this is kind of the important part there. The Meta, they published everything, or almost everything there, right? So unlike ChatGPT, where you can just interact with it either through like this interface or through some programming interface, but you don't have access to the actual model, right? Meta just put this out there free to use and to improve upon for everyone. And we then basically implemented some new training procedure that improve it for microscopy data, right? And this is now kind of our step towards this vision, right, of having this one model where you can give it a few examples and it segments it, right? So right now, the main thing it can do, right, is that what I just described, you put some point and it segments the corresponding object, or it can also do this automatic segmentation without any points, but the real strength is this, right? With like a few clicks, you can put together very complex objects, right? And doing this kind of manually, right? Basically painting everything would take minutes per object, and with this, it usually works in 1 or 2 seconds, right? So that's kind of the main thing that, I mean, first of all, Meta achieved, and then by our work to improve it, we really made it a lot better for microscopy data.
Is there any plugin now that we can try?
Yes.
Okay.
There is a Napari plugin, right? So Napari is this Python tool for image analysis, and it's integrated in there, and we're still actively working on making this more user-friendly and also improving.
Neuroscience and beyond. Know more. Get inspired.